An area of needed depth for the Tar Heels this season is the point guard position. And come on, there's a whole bunch of dudes just sitting there in the portal waiting for their name to be called. Let's go.
Hey, this is Jesse Holly, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Shade. You're joining me live here on a Thursday evening. Great to be together. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. Head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. Coming up on the show today, we got to get ready for that Super Regional. It starts tomorrow. I cannot wait. I got a couple of questions about USC, though. Are they just are they good, or did they just beat up on the bottom part of the Big Ten? The eye test tells me they're good, but I'll explain. Plus, we're going to need some Bosch magic cooking this weekend. We'll have our four bases preview for the Super Regional. You know, we usually do four corners preview for basketball. Now, we got four bases preview. But before we get to baseball, we got to talk basketball. Backup point guard options for the Tar Heels, because this has been a big conversation a lot of this offseason, where because of Henry Vasar staying in the NBA draft, so much of our focus has been on the front court. And because Carolina was able to get Neo Avdalas, Terrence Brown pretty quickly, to get Matt Abel to commit. Yes, it took a while for him to pull out of the draft, but it's felt like the backcourt has had a lot of the pieces sewn up and ready to go. But now that like the main pieces feel like they're set and in order, Coach Rob, our guy Coach Rob, has been saying for weeks now that the biggest hole Carolina still needs to fill, and I know some would say it's a hefty guard or a sniper from outside, but Coach Rob has been saying we need a backup point guard. And by that, I'm thinking somebody like, think of some of these great second unit point guards on some of the best Carolina teams. A Nate Britt on the 27 championship team, a Bobby Fraser who started his career as the starting point guard for Carolina, gave way to Ty Lawson, but was a critical part of that 09 championship team. Like one of those, a competent, level-headed dude with high basketball IQ that can really run the second unit, but also somebody that if Terrence Brown or Neo Avdalas, who I would expect to be the two main ball handlers, maybe there's a little Isaiah Dennis baked in there. I know he's been trying to work on it. If one of those main guys has foul trouble or, knock on all the wood that's around me, injury issues, somebody that can step in and run that first unit really well if need be. Get guys in position, make sure the players around them are made better. And you think about it, there's been people in the chat saying so much in the last couple shows, like Coach Malone really, really needs this. Look at Kentucky last year. They had Jalen Lowe, the Pitt transfer. He had that bad shoulder issue going on, kept trying to play and it didn't work. Once he was done for the season, they were cooked because they didn't have a true point guard behind him. So the big question, though, is you and I can say it all we want, but as Gregory Lunsford asks here, we most definitely do need a backup point guard. But here's the key question, everybody. Is Michael Malone going to fill that or let the roster stand? That's the question. And this is a great question from Greg, because you and I can talk about this till we're blue in the face, but you know what? It doesn't matter a hill of beans unless Michael Malone agrees with us that Carolina does need a backup point guard. Well, funny enough, I've been planning for this show to lead off with the backup point guard situation. And earlier today, Inside Carolina reported that the Tar Heels are, in fact, in touch with Oregon guard Wei Lin, who is a little bit older, but was a sophomore by credits last year, so would have 2 years of eligibility, maybe 3 if 5 and 5 happens. And okay, honestly, somebody I hadn't thought about. Like, I already had a list of names I was going to share with you tonight, and I will in just a second. But with Wei Lin, a couple of years ago in the CBA, the China League, he was phenomenal. 21 points a game, 5.2 assists, 3.5 boards, shot 37% from three, 88% at the line. That is great. Was starting to get offers from EuroLeague, came over last year to play for the Ducks. Remember Jackson Shelstad, who's their point guard, really, really good. He transferred this offseason, but he got hurt, and so Wei Lin had to come in and play a good bit. And I mean, he's got good size. He's 6'4", 190. There was a game against Rutgers, it's Rutgers, where he went nuts last year. 23 points, 6 of 12, not from the field, from beyond the arc, 5 assists, really nice. So he's got it in him. If you recognize the last name, I remember looking this up last offseason. He is, if you remember Jeremy Lin and Lin Sanity, he's his little brother. That's pretty cool. So there might be something there. But again, there were some names I was already planning to share tonight. So that's what I want to do, is share with you the names that I've kind of been looking at. And look, these are dudes that are just sitting out there in the portal waiting on their name to be called. From everything I can tell, and I've even done some research just to double check, like, I'm not missing something here, right? Like, these guys are legitimately in the portal. And yeah, they are. And so one of the questions I had, and I think our guy Joseph Alexander looked at it as well, because he said, I look at the list of all these available names. The thing is, why are they still available? What are their financial expectations? Maybe that's a big part of the holdup here, is they're looking for more money than Carolina or others have to offer them. Well, guess what, fellas? I hate to break it to you, but now with the early entry withdrawal deadline done and behind us, a lot of these rosters are pretty set. So unless there's people out there just needing, like, thirsting, you're not going to get a whole big bag. And so you might have to readjust your ideas. So here are 5 names just that I've looked at that are still in the portal, that I think might be good options. One of them is the guy that I put on the thumbnail for this show, and that's Mihailo Petrovic from Illinois. He was part of that whole Eastern Bloc last year, but he didn't end up playing much. Couple reasons for that. Number one, hello, Keaton Wagler. Nobody expected Keaton Wagler to do what he did last year. He was like 150th in the class, but he absolutely blew up. The expectation this time last offseason was that Petrovic would be their starting point guard last year. I had, I host Locked On College Basketball as well. I very specifically remember my offseason conversation with Sonny Verma, the host of Locked On Illinois, where he was like, look, Petrovic is phenomenal. But here, in my opinion, is the big issue. It's kind of similar to Luka Bogovac, where he got held up, couldn't get to Champaign in time, and was just behind the curve all year. So he really just didn't get much of any time, if we're being honest. And I think it's a more situational issue that, mixed with Keaton Wagler's ascension, that led to this. And now he's sitting in the portal and nobody's grabbed him yet. When he did play, he had a 33% assist rate. I think, having been in America a season, having played American college basketball a season, he's now probably more used to the speed, physicality, all of that, and I think would be a great backup point guard. Size, I forget what size he is. I wrote it down for most of the guys I wanted to. He's 6'3", 180, so he's got good positional size at guard, essentially Terrence Brown size. And so I think that makes a lot of sense. Number 2, this dude surely is going to wind up somewhere. And it's Desmond Claude. Now, I do need to say he's played 4 years of college basketball, but last year he only played 12 games for Washington, had an injury, and was gone. So because he's in the portal, and I don't know if it's like he was hoping for that 5-5, or if it's he's in line for a waiver because of only playing 12 games for the Huskies last year. And so that could be a real thing. But he played 2 years at Xavier, a year at USC, and then last year was at Washington. But each of those last 3 seasons, he's been over 13 points a game. He's a 3-point shooter, had a okay, fine, whatever. But his last full year, that year at USC, 4.2 assists per game. He's a guy with even better positional size at 6'5", 207. I mean, my goodness, right? Like, that would be incredible. So the question is there a waiver there, or is he just hoping for something? But I think he would be great to go out and get. Another name, and this was a name we mentioned last night on the show, is Miles Rice. He is going to be a senior. He's played 3 years, so brings a lot of experience to the table. If I remember correctly, he's somebody that was it before his freshman year or during his freshman year at Wazoo, went through some real cancer or something. I hope I'm not giving him a disease he didn't have, but I feel like I remember that he went through that and it was a real struggle. And so I say that to say he's somebody that perseveres, has been through it. He played a year at Washington State, a year at Indiana. Last year he was at Maryland where he was hurt for a lot of the year. So similarly, how many games did he play last year at Maryland? Let's look here. 17 games. So probably too many last year to be in line for a medical red shirt, and wouldn't get one even if 5-5 is a thing. He is not a high assist guy, but he's a phenomenal free throw shooter, average 3-point shooter, and fine. His height's fine. He's 6'2", 175, not quite as big as some of these other guys, but fine positional height. Daquan Davis would be a junior, played his freshman year. Actually, he might have 3 years of eligibility because played his freshman year at FSU. He was at Providence last year, but only played a couple of games. He had a knee injury. I'm not sure where he's at in his rehab, but somebody with some time left, certainly several years to go. He's, again, another one that's smaller, 6'1", 171, but I'm kind of going down in order of preference here, and Davis would be there. And then the last name I wanted to mention was Tyler Johnson. You might remember him because he played for 2 different ACC teams, Louisville and then Wake Forest, but last year went down to San Diego at the mid-major level. They're in the West Coast Conference. He's an even mightier mind. He's like 6 foot tall, but he's a great free throw shooter, 4.3 assists per game last year at San Diego. He's another 3-point shooter. But again, I mean, you'd love the 3-point shooting, but you're looking for a guy that can run the team. And Tyler, while being shorter, could do that. But I mean, certainly between those 5 names, you add Wei Lin to that, somebody like that could do it. Heck, I even look at a guy like Sky Clark. Sky Clark is technically out of eligibility, right? But I think similar to who am I looking? I think similar, to Seth Trimble. Sorry, I was losing it. Similar to Seth Trimble, I think is just hoping for that 5th year, but it isn't going to happen. So I wouldn't even really think about him, but he's a great point guard and would certainly take him as well. Ultimately, though, now with this Wei Lin news, it does seem like Carolina is at least on the prowl because they've got 1 to 2 spots left on the roster to fill. And I think they're certainly in the market. So that, to me at least, is very encouraging. Now, we're going to turn our attention from basketball because less than 24 hours from right now, the Diamond Heels will have finished game 1 of the Super Regional, hopefully, please, with a win in their back pocket. Earlier today, Coach Forbes announced that he would start Ryan Lynch over Jason DeCaro for the 2nd weekend in a row. We're going to talk about that and the rest of the 4 Bases preview, all coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, y'all, the NBA playoffs are here. Game 1 of the finals is in the books. Wow, the Knicks up 1-0 on the Spurs. Every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started right now. New customers can bet $5, and if it wins, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets to use. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 just for getting started. I like that you can use FanDuel during the playoffs because everything you need is right there in one place. The app is easy to navigate, and it makes being in on this playoff basketball even more engaging from start until the finish. We could have as few as 3 games left this season, but you can check stats and trends and matchups before you make your picks to make you an even more informed fan. We're about to talk College World Series lead up, or at least Super Regionals leading into the College World Series. Here's the odds right now. Carolina has the best odds at plus 380 to win the College World Series, followed by Texas plus 450, and then Georgia and Auburn each at plus 550, and then Mississippi State rounds out that top 5 at plus 650. If you want to get in on that action or anything else, head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. Again, that's FanDuel. Play your game. Thanks for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listen Forced? I don't even know what that means. Your first listener watch of the day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's on my shirt. Your team every day. If you never miss an episode, time to make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayer Club and get ad-free audio, one-on-one messaging with me, and so much more. All built for your most loyal fans. That link's down in the show notes. Go check it out right now. Here's what we're going to do. For basketball season ahead of the games, we do the Four Corners preview. For football games, we do the what to watch for. Today, we're doing the Four Bases preview. Yeah. All right, here we go. You ready? First base. Carolina must have disciplined at-bats. And this is all series long, but in particular, these first two games. It's one of, in basketball, we always talk about every possession matters. You got to value the basketball like crazy. Well, in these really intense moments, man, every pitch matters. You cannot give a single at-bat away. Every hitter for all 27 outs and any hits, walks, errors, or whatever that come in between, you got to go up with a purpose and a plan. Carolina has that traject system they use where they can get used to hitting off pitchers. They've been wearing that thing out with Mason Edwards and Gavin Govell this week because this 1-2 punch, again, I've been saying it, but this 1-2 starting pitching punch from USC is insanity. We'll get to them in just a second. But all that to say, runs are going to be at a premium, and you need everything you can get. So every hitter must get to the plate with an intentionality to do everything they can in every single at-bat. If that's getting a hit, great. If that's simply working the count to try to get into USC's bullpen, which is not a snooze in itself, but it ain't these starting pitchers, I'll tell you that. And so that's what you're trying to do. Can we get the pitch count up and get these guys out by the 4th or 5th inning? That would be glorious. Heck, even the 6th if you could. Because here's the thing. Tomorrow, Friday, Carolina is facing a lefty in Mason Edwards, who has the most strikeouts in the entire nation. Not for a lefty, for any pitcher. 164 strikeouts this season. Number 2 in the nation has 137. He has 27 more strikeouts than the next closest pitcher in the entire nation. He's got 15.93 strikeouts per 9 innings. The next closest is more than a strikeout less away from him, 14.86. So basically, if he pitched a complete game, he's going to average just shy of 16 strikeouts. And so that's the thing. You've got to go up ready to work the count. You got to go up ready to just make contact. Put the ball in play, and good things happen. Similar to Carolina, USC is a really good defense. So that's going to be tough. But again, it is a collegiate defense. It's not an MLB team. And so they're going to make mistakes from time to time, but you got to put the ball in play. Thankfully, Carolina is a team built to do that. They hit for, this is not some big mashing team. If you've watched them at all, you know that right? They scored however many runs the other day in the final game of the series against ECU in the regional and didn't hit was it 9? I think they had 9. Yeah, it was 9-3. No home runs in that game. Because Carolina just works counts. They get on base. They put the ball in play. They sacrifice. They manufacture runs. And that's what they're going to have to do here. So got to find a way to put the ball in play. And the other thing with Mason Edwards is you're probably well aware that Carolina has a whole bunch of lefties in their lineup. The normal lineup has 5 lefties, and those left-on-left matchups are tough. And it's like every other guy. Against a righty, it's Jake Schaffner leading off. It would be Owen Hull either at the 2 or the 3 that Coach Forbes flips him and Galley sometimes. Eric Paulson at 5, Tyler Howe at 7, and then Carter French at 9. My expectation, I know Carter French started against a lefty one of the games last week, but it was kind of not a true dominant starter. And so against Edwards, I expect that we're going to see Rom Kellis in that 9 spot who tears up left-handed pitching. You need every hit you can get your hands on. I fully expect that Galley will be in the 2 hole with Hull at 3. The question is, Eric Paulson, usually against lefties, he slides down to the 8 hole. But both games against lefties last weekend, Coach kept him at 5. He wound up hitting very well, thank you very much, and was the regional MVP. So I'm assuming, here's me guessing ahead of time, that Rom Kellis will start in right field, or sometimes they go to left field and move Howe over to right, whatever, but he'll be in the 9 hole, but that Eric Paulson will probably stay at 5. Maybe you just switch him and Nicholson. I don't know, at 5 and 6. But it's going to be very tough. And then here's the other thing. In game 2 against Govell, he has one of the best strikeout to walk. He doesn't have as many strikeouts as Edwards, but he's got one of the best strikeout to walk ratios in the entire nation. And so again, disciplined at bats. He's not going to walk a ton of dudes, but he's also not seen this. So there's all of this at play. Carolina's got to win these at bats. Number 2, second base. The Ryan Lynch, Jason DeCaro of it all. This has been the big debate, at least for me, all week long, was would Coach Forbes go back to Jason DeCaro starting on Friday or Ryan Lynch? And part of it is Jason DeCaro, for the first time in his Carolina career, has gone back-to-back outings, not making it out of the 4th inning. Ryan Lynch is coming off a 7-inning shutout performance, only gave up 2 hits to VCU. Now, it was VCU, but still, he did that. And he's got the better fastball. Season long, DeCaro's got better numbers, certainly. But his ability to miss barrels, I mean, teams have just been knocking him around early and often in each of these last couple games. And if you want to read more in depth on this, I've just started writing again. I haven't been writing for the last 3 or 4 years. But I've just started writing again for a group called Roundtable. I'm one of their main writers for Carolina stuff. And so I actually wrote about the Lynch over DeCaro of it all earlier today. If you want to go check that out, I'll drop the link in the show notes or something like that. I've also shared it on Twitter and in the Discord. But you need another great performance from Ryan Lynch tomorrow. But then perhaps even more importantly, you need DeCaro. You need not the fake version of DeCaro. You need him to be great on Saturday. And if not, and even if, you need the bullpen to be electric behind him. And you hope for length from both of these guys, but we're going to have to wait and see. Third base. Tar Heels need a fast start, and they got to slow down USC at the same time. The Trojans lost the first game of their regional 5-4. But since then, in the final 4 games of their regional, outscored their opponents 55-14. Now, there's a bunch of things at play there. Some of that is those games were against Lamar and then Texas State and Texas A&M in back-to-back games, who was not the most dominant pitching staff I've ever seen. So that's a factor. But also holding them down to 14 runs there is a thing as well. They scored 14 or more runs in all 3 of those middle games. The Lamar, Texas State, and the first A&M game. So that's a thing. And so USC is going to come in trying to continue to ride this momentum that they built up last weekend. Ryan Lynch, who we just talked about, has to shut that down from the first pitch tomorrow. Use that. Again, part of the reason I think you go with him over DeCaro is in the 90s, but lower 90s. Lynch, mid 90s consistently. That fastball is faster. He can dot spots. That's what you're going for. Go out and shut down this USC offense. Remind them what good pitching does against them. That's what I want to see from the get-go. Stop that momentum. But don't get too hyped if you're Ryan Lynch, right? You got to be cool. You got to be calm. You got to be collected. That's what you're looking for. And on the flip side of that, while you got to shut down USC early, what I'm looking for the Tar Heels to do is get going early, because like Mason Edwards, phenomenal. But here's the thing. The combination, the duo of Ryan Lynch and Jason DeCaro have a combined 3 super regional starts in their career. Mason Edwards and Govell, their top 2 arms, none. They've never made it to a super regional before. And so certainly there's going to be some nerves. There's going to be the blood pumping. And so usually that means first inning jitters. Get Jake Schaffner, have a big old fat leadoff at bat. Get him up to 10 pitches. Splash a single into left field. Just go oppo with it, whatever it is, right? And let's push across at least 1 run. Gain that momentum. Again, slow USC down and remind them that we are at home. Because another thing is, I got to imagine as Mason Edwards settles in, he's going to get better and better. So you got to get to him early. Number 4, getting home from first base, second, third, home. No mental mistakes. Sure, you might commit a physical error here or there. Although, again, the Tar Heel defense is so good. One of the best in the entire nation in fielding percentage. But here's the thing. If and when you do commit a physical error, you can't compound it with a mental error. Let me give you an example. For those who are unaware, I'm a big Braves fan. Bryce Elder has been one of the better pitchers for the Braves this year. There was a play a week or so ago. There was a ball just pounded into the ground, bounced up over his head. And instead of letting it go for the double play, reached up to try to grab it. It tipped off his glove. All right, that happens sometimes. Physical error. Maybe a little bit of a mental error because he should have let it go, but bang, bang, right? But what he did is he tried to run, grab it, and make the play at first still. And then he ended up throwing that ball away. Everybody moves up a couple extra bases, and it turned into being this big inning that the Braves ended up losing the game because he made a physical error, but he compounded it by following it up with a mental error. That's what you can't do. Don't let a physical error become a mental error, turn one into two. And Carolina, I feel like, is so well adjusted at these things. They don't let errors compound on one another. So don't let one error become two. That's my big plea. So there's the 4 bases of this super regional starting tomorrow. Now, USC seems to be a very, very good baseball team. The eye test tells me that, and they're clicking right now. But I went deep dive on their record, and particularly their conference record, and it suggests that all they essentially did was beat up on the bottom of the Big Ten. I'm a bit confused here, and I'm going to need your help. Plus, the Bosch has to matter tomorrow. We'll talk about all that coming up here to wrap the show in just a second. Looking at UCLA, they've had a very good baseball season. On the year, they were 47-16. They went 20-10 in the Big Ten. It's like, man, they've been really good. But there's a couple things with their resume that are, to me. They're 1-11 on the year in quad 1 games. Yeah, there's some basketball coming over, right? Coming into the post, I should say. They were 4th in the Big Ten. The teams above them were UCLA, Nebraska, and Oregon. Get this. Against UCLA, they played a series against all 3 of those teams. They got swept by UCLA. Granted, it was at UCLA, although that's, still in Los Angeles, so there's that. But got swept. They played Nebraska, although again, on the road. Got swept. And then they played Oregon, again on the road, and went 1-2. They did not win a single series against the other 3 of the top 4 teams in the Big Ten. And they played UCLA again in the Big Ten tournament and lost that game. So on the season, they are 1-9 against the other top 4 teams in the conference. Now, to be fair, 9 of those 10 games were on the road. So there's that. But then here's the thing. I told you they won 20 Big Ten games. Aside from that one game they won at Oregon, 16 of those other 19 Big Ten wins came against teams that finished 8th or worse in the Big Ten standings. They swept Purdue. They were number 6, so that's important. But they swept Iowa, who's 8th, Illinois, who was 9th, Rutgers, who was 10th, Washington, 11th, Maryland, 15th, and they went 2-1 against them, and Northwestern, who's dead last in the Big Ten, they went 2-1 against them. So they racked up 16 other Big Ten wins, but against teams that were outside the top 8 of the conference, or outside were 8th or worse in the Big Ten. And so the eye test tells me that they're playing really well. The pitching is obviously great. The defense is obviously great. But the offense didn't do a ton throughout the season. Yeah, they did last weekend, but again, not great pitching. So I just don't know what to make of this team. That's what I'm trying to say to you. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Ultimately, here's the thing that is very, very important. For all of the Carolina players, for all everything else, what has to matter perhaps more than anything else is that the Bosch has to be rocking tomorrow and Saturday, Sunday if necessary. Carolina played at home all weekend. They haven't left the state of North Carolina in a long time. They breezed through 3-0. I mean, had some pressure in that second game against ECU, but other than that, pretty easy sledding. bullpen, well-rested, all of that. USC, they had to go from California to College Station, Texas. Basically, Houston area is where A&M is. They played their games from Friday all the way through late Monday night. I think that game first pitch was like 9 Eastern. And then they didn't, I think wise of them, I talked with the Locked On Trojans host, Mark Colkin, who told me that they didn't go back to LA, which makes a ton of sense, just came straight to Chapel Hill from College Station. But the other side of that is that means they haven't been home in a minute. And now they're getting adjusted to the Eastern time zone where they're going to play a game on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is noon on body clock time. And then Saturday, that game's at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. body clock time. Now their bodies are starting to get adjusted because they've been gone for a while, but still it's like, what is this? And here's the thing. I wish these games were going to be at night because that's so fun, but these afternoon games, it's going to be really hot. The weather, what is it, like mid to upper 90s? It's going to be cooking. These LA boys ain't used to that kind of weather. You got to come out hydrated, ready to go, make them sweat, make them die. Like the team that is hydrated and ready to go and used to this thick Carolina heat is going to be the team that wins it. And so get a quick start, get them down and get out of Dodge, right? Get this win tomorrow, number one. And then that allows you Saturday to do what you need to do, right? If you can, gosh, again, Mason Edwards is such a good pitcher, going to be very, very difficult. But if you can get that win, gosh, would love some length from Ryan Lynch. Because that's the other thing I forgot to say about the Lynch DeCaro of it all. For me, part of the reason, if I'm Scott Forbes, yes, so many of Jason DeCaro's season-long numbers are better than Ryan Lynch's. But if I look at which of these two guys gives me the best chance at length right now, today, that's Ryan Lynch. Because if you can get, let's say, the same 7 innings you got from him last week, and Carolina either has a lead or is very close, then you can turn it to McDuffie for the last couple innings, whatever it is, and then you haven't done much of anything to the bullpen. What that does, especially if you can get a win on Friday, is on Saturday, then you can attack things much more aggressively. You ride Jason DeCaro as long as you can, but you've got him on a short leash. You know why? Because sitting there in the pen, champing at the bit, is Caden Glauber, who's ready to come in and just dominate. This dude is legit. I mean, the ACC Freshman of the Year, legitimately so impossible to hit, and he is probably the Tar Heels' best pitcher right now. So you've got to find the right moment to use him and utilize him. Because if you win game one, honestly, if you lose game one, you want to do everything you can to win game two. Obviously, if you lose, you have to because it's win or go home. But you don't want to go to a game three. Like in a win or go or a winner take all scenario, anything can happen. Like a cold day from somebody and you're cooked. So, man, let's get this in two. Because think about last year. I have so much PTSD. Carolina dominated Arizona in game one. And then couldn't quite get it done on Saturday, nearly came back to win that game, had multiple chances in the 8th and 9th innings, just fell short. Sunday, Ryan Lynch pitched a gem and had just an error at second base, and Arizona capitalized. Carolina couldn't get it done, and that was it. And the Wildcats were moving on. Gosh, Carolina should have won that and gone to the World Series, but there you have it. So, man, I'm nervous already. I can't wait. I've got that nervous excitement. Bring it on. We will be live tomorrow after the game. Can't wait for that. Make sure you're going to be in here with us, chopping it up either for a therapy session or we're one game away from College World Series session. Either way, we'll be here. Can't wait for you to join. If you haven't subscribed to Locked On Tar Heels on YouTube, do it right now down in the corner. If you've not started downloading the audio versions of the show, please do so. Join and subscribe on your favorite audio podcast platform. Turn on automatic downloads and just let them rip. I'd love for you to listen to every show, but even if you don't, every download counts and every download helps grow the show. Thanks for trying that out. I appreciate it. If you haven't joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, where we'll be live talking during the baseball game tomorrow, come hop in. It's free to join. If you want to be part of that Every Dare Club, I'd love to see you there as well. We're going to get out of here. You guys know the drill. Say it with me. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow after the game, but until then, peace.